Gentlemen, the time has come once again to discuss things.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Geeky Gentleman Fan Film Reviews. I'm Sid Part 2, joining me today is...
A Geek for Fun.
Indeed. Alfie, what are we reviewing today?
Today we're reviewing quite a lot of individual videos, quite a lot of content, but one series, one very popular fan series that's been around for a long time.
Almost 10 years.
Yeah. And that is Dragon Ball Absalon.
Indeed. This is one of those things where, I'd heard about it within the Dragon Ball community before. I think I sat down to try to watch the first episode of this at one point, and I kind of knew pretty early on in that, attempt to watch it that it wasn't something I'd enjoy, so I just kind of... I left it off to be its own thing. And I guess, I hate to start on such a negative note, but I guess I will. Doing these fan film reviews, no matter how popular the thing is, I never really want to go into them and talk about something in a negative light. Obviously when we're reviewing something and there's a problem with a thing, I have no problem, pointing out the things that are wrong with something or things that could be improved. But I never want to go in, talking about something and talking about how bad it is or whatever. Because there are just terrible fan films. Back when Rasco and I did fan film reviews together, I had to pull the plug on one episode because he picked something based on the thumbnail of a Flash fan film, and it had a really good thumbnail, and then we started watching it, and the first 2 minutes was a 5-year-old kid waking up in his bed, but it was Star Labs, and he had the Flash powers, and I was like, no, we can't talk about this. This is too bad to talk about. But it's fine, because it was a little kid's fun fan project. This is something where I'm in this odd place because I've got a lot of respect for what they are doing here, but just I am watching it as someone who... I love Dragon Ball for the action and the fights. I think that's great. I think when I look back on what got me into Dragon Ball, it was the action and the fights. But I love Dragon Ball now because of the stories. Because I think it's got a really solid story. It's got a really, true and very inspiring tale. And I watched this, and it is absolutely none of what I like about Dragon Ball from a storytelling perspective. And it is 100% focused on just being really cool fights. And to its credit, for something that I think is being animated by just one person,
Correct.
It's very impressive on an animation standpoint. It's obviously it's rough. I wouldn't be as impressed with this if it were a official released thing, but knowing this is just one person and he's been working on it for almost 10 years is very impressive from that perspective on its animation and its fight choreography and everything. That level of impressive for me can only get me so far. And that so far lasted about 3 to 4 episodes before I just really started having a very difficult time watching this. So I don't... we'll joke and we'll have fun talking about this or whatever. And a lot of it is, I just know, at least from my perspective, a lot of what I'm going to have to say in this review is going to be negative. But I don't I don't want like the impression that I'm trying to start drama or shit on something. It's just a fact of the matter of like doing this review. I had a really hard time getting through this thing, and so one of the only ways I'm gonna be able to cope and talk about it is gonna be to kind of laugh at some of the problems and really baffling decisions that it makes. So, not trying to start shit, not trying to be an asshole, certainly. But I have a feeling this one's going to get kind of rough.
Well, it's a good thing I am an asshole for fun. Infamously known for that. Who'll always start beef. I'm calling out you, Malavelli. No. You beautifully put basically everything I was feeling on this thing as well. I do want to, just to lead off with something positive. I am astounded and kind of amazed at the sheer amount of work put into making this possible. The level of the animation and compositing it all, and the way the most biggest compliment I can give to Dragon Ball Absalon is definitely on its, not just its fight animation, but on its like choreography. How the fights hit, how the characters move, and how the blows work. Impact is so hard to get right in animation. It's one of the hardest things you can do to get something to feel snappy, to make something feel they have weight, and to get things. But there are like cuts in this where the characters are doing like a flurry of martial arts attack, like blocking, dodging, weaving, flipping. And it's phenomenal. Like the speed on display, the ferocity on display, and showing something that is still very Dragon Ball in how it moves, but it's something we haven't really seen in the main series. I think is really, really good and should be praised for. I feel like, and not just that, like not only is this like a one episode thing. The time of recording, 10 episodes have been released. 9 of them are on the channel. The 10th one was taken down by Toei, but has been uploaded on other channels, which is how we watched that one. But the 10
Plus
episode
the episode of Zycor.
Yeah. So like there's little shorts and stuff which are meant to be, I guess, like little snippets and scenes from the rest of the Absalon expanded universe, I guess, as it were. But all of them are kind of they improve in quality as they go on, and there's still some rough patches here and there. It's definitely not something you'd expect from like a TV show with multiple people animating or something, but for what it is and the age it's done, and for getting the content out at all, I do think is pretty commendable. Like 10 episodes of an animated series, all decent-ish length, I think is kind of without a doubt just praiseworthy just on that fact alone. So that's why I wanted to get out of the way first, because that is an achievement that you can never take away.
Yeah, like to your point about like the action hitting, the guy who I don't remember his name off the top of my head, the guy who looks like Vegeta's new form in the manga, like Gohan describes like he uses his leg like a knife, and like just the fact that he is very, very kick focused and he keeps doing like the scissor kick down, and just the key trail from that does look really cool. I like the way Oob is shown to fight, how he'll go from like, he really does look like Boo trained by Goku, which is really cool. The fact that Oob just randomly has like his arms stretch out was kind of a dope thing I wasn't expecting to see, and how he kind of puts things down. I did really enjoy that. When Pan uses the fucking ultimate mystical form, whatever you call it, that was getting pretty stellar piece of animation. Looked really good. So yeah, as far as the thing that, if this thing's goal, and I think it's fair to say that its goal is to be a visually impressive fan animated thing, if that's all it's trying to do, I can't say it doesn't succeed at that. Like, this is the craziest thing. You could maybe save this with an edit or a redub, in all honesty. But just as it is, it's really, really rough.
Yeah, and I think that's something, before we get into plot stuff and decisions and stuff, just on that level, I think you make a really good point that I want to bring up, is I know I've had issues with this in the past, and I'm not gonna say, well, my stuff is perfect and there's no things like this, but like, this is probably the worst audio editing and sound mixing for a fan animation I've seen. It's not acceptable. Like it's really, really bad a lot of the time with the quality of the audio. And I understand getting VAs is hard, and mixing it all together through an anime is a different skill set, but I think it just hurts what's there and moments that could be good even more if the music is like drowning out what the characters are saying nearly all the time, and if the voices are filtered to death, and if there's crackling on the mics and like stuff like that, it makes it really, really hard to get sunk into the world and the animation when that is so glaring. It is one of the things that really sticks out to me, just a technical fix that I would emphasize. And
I wonder, part of it I wonder is like how long he's sat on some of these audio files. 'Cause like episode 1 has Moscow X voicing Goku. And then by the time Goku's actually in the story, it's the casting has changed, which is totally understandable. You know, fan projects, particularly something this long, it's hard to keep voice actors for. But then, like, he's got Lord Jazor, who's a voice I know from fucking Batman Community, from back in the day. Lord Jazor and I almost worked on several things together. Kind of funny. But like that's a name I know from that, and he's playing Zykor, and he's listed as the voice of Zykor from the very first episode, and Zykor doesn't show up in main series until like a post-credits scene, and then he gets his own special episode that's apparently just been building in the manga or something. Like, how long has he been sitting on the Zykor lines is something I wonder. If this has been going 9, almost 10 years. Like, how long has he had some of these? Because the voice acting community's audio quality has improved greatly in those 10 years. And, like, alright, so the first episode's 2012, right? So that predates Super. But then you think about it, it's not like he made the first episode in 2012. He was probably working on that for about as long as he works on any other episode, if not longer, since this pipeline probably wasn't as clean and as well managed at that point. So you might be going back to 2011, 2010 for voice actors for some of these lines. How long has he had some of this stuff? How long has everything been scripted out? I don't have answers to that. But, like, yeah, what if he always knew what Pan and Bra's scenes were gonna be and had that scripted out in like 2010 or whatever, and it just got turned in then, and he's just been sitting on the files ever since, and then he just uses them and they sound like really, really bad now? Or what if the voice actors just don't have very good quality stuff? It's hard to say, but like that is something I legitimately found myself wondering about while watching it, because you're right, the audio quality is really bad. Funny enough, the audio quality changes thing to thing, because in episode 1, did you have this where like the audio just straight drops for a sec?
Yeah, so what happened with that
was it like a copyright YouTube thing?
Yeah, he's had to. So this happened with the thing with the opening, which caught me off guard, because the last time I watched Absalon, it didn't have that. Like the videos didn't have that. It was a Bleach opening, that I assume, and you can tell like the song is meant to time to the opening of it, how it moves. But the song must have gotten copyright claimed or something, and then there's a moment at the end as well of the first episode that must have got copyright, because this audio just stops. And I guess because the videos have got so many views, he didn't want to take them down and re-upload them.
Mm-hmm.
So he just went in YouTube Studio and did like the you can cut out audio thing. But I'm like, I don't know, man. You've got people know what Dragon Ball. You're gonna get views no matter what, and no matter what.
If anything, like a re-upload, like keep part 1 up as is, and then like re-upload a audio remaster or something, right? Like,
Yeah,
you're gonna get the views.
There's better ways to go about that because as it is, it really.
It's jarring. I thought there was like an error with my phone casting to my television, but like that's not even the thing that really got me, because like right before the Saiyans show up, the Absalon Saiyans show up in episode 1, and fucking Razzle is talking. Literally could not understand a word he's saying to introduce these characters. And so like and right after that I have there's that weird audio break, and so I'm like, okay. And I let it play on my phone for a second. Can hear the voice actor just fine on the phone. This is a tip I give out a billion times in these fan project reviews. When you're editing audio, edit it, do your levels on multiple things. Because if you're editing just with headphones, your audio is going to be skewed. You'll make your levels will not make sense. You'll make music quieter than it needs to be, because you can hear it just fine with your headphones, but your audio source is right next to your frickin' ear in that situation. It's different between headphones and speakers and like a television set across the room. When you're editing audio for a fan thing, please, please, please check your levels on multiple things. For the love of God. Alright, so the big thing that we have to get into then, right? What the fuck is this story?
I take a guess.
Dude, it's so fucking nonsense. Like, it starts off simple enough. The Z Fighters, like, Goku's gone, the Z Fighters have trained and are going to protect the Earth from new threats. A new threat arrives, and they do surprisingly well against it because they've been training. Then randomly Saiyans from some other planet show up. Like, there's no build up to them. They just come, as far as I'm aware. So they just pop the fuck in. And then it just... things just keep happening, and I have no idea what is going on. And, like... which is actually impressive, because there's so much exposition.
Yeah, it makes, the more they tell us, the more confused I get. Like the real thing for me when the penny drop for me was when fucking I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe I was seeing what I was hearing. But like the Saiyans are like fighting. And then fucking Future Trunks turns up. Mm-hmm. And not only does Future Trunks turn up, Future Gohan is with him. And like, not only do they turn up, they start talking to these sailors as if they know them and have had previous experience with them. And then not only that, in Dragon Ball, they start talking about parliaments and treaties and the like as the fucking prequels. I'm just like, at that point, I had officially given up all hope and all sanity of what the fuck is happening. Like there's no, and it was so funny because I looked at the comments for it. And there was a comment which was hearted by Melavelli, if that's how the name is pronounced, forgive me if it's not, which was saying, like, it gave, like, a lore breakdown. It was so funny, because the comment opened with, come on, guys, it's not that hard. Here's what it is, and the paragraph was just fucking, it was like an essay. It was just gigantic. And it was so funny, because, like, apparently, so here's the plot of Dragon Ball Absalon, source, is... apparently, there was a colony on planet Vegeta which broke off before the planet was destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
And then they got taken in by Absalonians and like genetically experimented on, like made into the race, and that's why they've all got Super Saiyan. And now they're in a war with something that we have no idea what it is, and so they need to recruit new soldiers. So they're going to find new Saiyans. So they come to Earth through a warp hole, which is apparently what Razzle creates. Did you know that he's a Bulma level scientist, Ian? Razzle is a Bulma level scientist who is the creator of the warp hole technology, who brings home the Saiyans, and then they have to do all the nonsense that happens in here. And also, I still have no idea what the fuck Future Trunks and Gohan. Because then the fucking real thing is that he goes Super Saiyan Blue. And I'm just like, oh, okay, so Super's a thing in this apparently as well. Like, but when is this set? Like, what the fuck is happening? I'm so confused. It's like, but then they say all this information was on the wiki. And I'm sorry, but your plot should be in the fucking episodes.
That is such a good point, because like this is something that we certainly deal with in our series, where like we'll occasionally leave things out of an episode or whatever and let it just, if someone wants to ask, we'll talk about it, or maybe we'll address it later. But like it's like the most mundane, like little shit. Like what was the recent one? If Goku's staff in DBDC is the original staff of Sun Wukong, how the hell can Cassandra Cain carry it, since it's supposed to be as heavy as a stone pillar? The answer, not given in the episode. Well, she's been training with Kakarot, so she's getting stronger. It's like literally like so there's a certain level of, for the expediency's sake, for the story's sake, you can leave out details that aren't immediately relevant in the moment, and it is supplementary material, whether that be interviews with the author or the wiki or whatever. We'll be accepting sources for that, but that's like little shit. That's like not the fucking crux of what's going on, you know? Like, that's just crazy to me. And then there's just this thing that has been sitting in my head, because like legitimately is a cool moment, is when Bra's like, my father will kill all of you. With what army? Your own army. He's the prince of all Saiyans. I thought that was like a legitimately cool moment. And then they're like, the traitor Vegeta. I'm like, okay, so they hate Vegeta because he worked for Frieza after the planet was destroyed. That does not make any fucking sense in the slightest. Because, alright. Saiyans exist on Absalon. They know that Frieza has destroyed planet Vegeta, so they hate Frieza. They've unlocked Super Saiyan to fucking Blue for years, apparently. Why the fuck didn't any of them, like, just, you can't just send one guy with regular Super Saiyan, which is apparently really easy to achieve for you, out to just kill Frieza real quick and then come back? Okay. Your fucking prince doesn't know you exist, and he's working with Frieza? You don't think maybe, like, alright, he betrayed us. Maybe go talk to him. Maybe he doesn't know you exist. Maybe he's plotting against Frieza, which he fucking was. Like, I just...
And also, like...
No, I'm not. I'm sorry. I'm not done. Okay. Who the fuck are they fighting a war against that's so much fucking stronger than Frieza?
Yeah.
Like, just...
That's the thing, is like, they never give it who the war's against. Like, why... Who the fuck is this strong that needs an army of, like, Super Saiyan 4 plus? Like, Super Saiyan 4 is like, oh, that's the baseline if you can get 4. No, Freeze the one which is like, oh, alright, you're worth my time. If you can do 4, then all right, you're something. But like most of these other guys have got like fucking different color variations that I can't tell if that's meant to be 5. Is that meant to be 6? Like what the fuck is it? Because it's never got no eyebrows as well. Like are they in Hakai shit? like I can't tell what form these guys are in half the time. But like it's clearly that some heavy shit. So who the fuck are they fighting a war against? And the biggest thing for that, like, so the Frieza thing is like, so you know who Prince Vegeta is. How do you know who Prince Vegeta is if you left the colony before Frieza turned up? Because even if, like, pre-Broly movie, we didn't know when that date was, but how it is presented in series is that it's a long fucking time. Like, it's like, at King Cold at the very least. Like, if you know who Vegeta is, then you should know that Frieza enslaved everyone. So technically, you should all be working for Frieza. Okay, so you're a colony that left before that. And how the fuck do you know about Vegeta and Frieza and not do what you said and just go and do something then? Like, if you have that much contact to know what's going on, like, it's... And the reason why it's a problem isn't necessarily the idea of it. The whole Saiyans existing, coming back is a fan trope and it's a thing, but like, whatever. You can make it work if you do it right. Like the Broly movie showed, you can do a good take on it. Like, it's not the worst idea in the world. It's not the most original idea in the world, but like, fine, whatever. The issue becomes, is it's such a big part of Vegeta and Goku and everyone's characters that they are the last of the Saiyan race. That they are that is an integral part of the entire Saiyan and Namek arcs, and it's always brought up of the Saiyans are gone and these are the last ones, and anyone who needs to be brought up, the Broly movie knew, alright, so we have to dedicate like 30 minutes justifying why Paragus and Broly are still alive, because it's that important. Like, we can't just do that as a throwaway. We need to. Even the original Broly movie did it in less time, but had an entire flashback, because you have to explain that, because that you can't just expect us to go with it. And then these guys have just a fucking army, and yet they're all still wearing Frieza armor, and then they turn up, and there's no explanation in the series about it whatsoever, and there's 10 episodes. Like, I get not doing that episode 1, episode 2, because you want to have the shock, but you gotta do it at some point, and not just leave it on a wiki. Like, I'm sorry, that's inexcusable. Like, you can't not and it doesn't take much to say a line. You've got a lot of talking, you've got a lot of dialogue. You could just have, like, Gohan ask, like, yo, what the fuck, you Saiyans, how? And have the guy explain it. But you don't do that. Like, it's... So, to me, and this goes with a lot of decisions in this story, but that's the big one that sticks out immediately, I think, for most people, is it shows to me a lack of experience with writing a story. It shows to me a lack of experience of what an audience needs to hear, what to save, how to structure things, how to do cutaways and multiple stories at the same time. But I think it was just too much, biting off way more than they could show. Is they had this clearly, like I said, the amount of time they worked on, like you said, having the lines for this in advance, clearly there's an epic plan, like, for a saga here. Like, there's years worth of content and like this journey and different planets and different Saiyans and all these new characters and all these things, and that is a hard thing to write. And for what I'm assuming is the first major project like that they've ever done, I think it kind of blew up in their face, because their strength was animation and the art and doing that, and you don't need that much of a story to make that work. You can do very basic, just those 3 fucking design, like the designs for like those alien guys. They're not bad. They can buy those Toriyama designs, like the little bit Frieza, a little bit of the Dorio guys. Razzle's probably the best one in the design part, but they work. Like they're fine. They look nice. Have those 3 villains turn up, and yeah, it's a Saiyan Saga thing, but like, you're not coming here for the story. You're coming for the action. So just don't let it get in the way. This is where the story gets in the way so much, because there's simultaneously nothing happening and yet everything happening.
It's just like I love a good Dragon Ball fight, you know, like that. Kai's great and all, but fuck it, I like, you know, the original cut where you get to see just, you know, fucking this whole episode is just Frieza beating the shit out of him, you know, like that shit's good. Like I legitimately do like that stuff, and so I found myself like I think maybe that's why I don't know what the fuck's going on with this story, because after a certain point I just check the fuck out of it and try to enjoy it for the action, but like, dude, it's 10 episodes. It's just 10 episodes of either action that gets kind of repetitive after a while, or dialogue and exposition that just doesn't make any sense and just has me scratching my head. And it's like it's that frustrating thing I'm getting answers, but I'm only getting answers that make me ask more questions, and not in a good way. It's not like, oh yeah, now I want to know more about your universe. It's like, no, now you've just given me information that doesn't have context, so now I need more information. Like, oh my god, the fucking... There's so much in here that just, like, okay, alright, plot is nonsense. But you know, it's Dragon Ball. That's fine. You can get away with a nonsense plot in Dragon Ball and be just fine. They made like 12 movies, you know? And that was exactly what it was, is the plot didn't really make any sense. It just happened, and it was just whatever. But you know what the movies do well with Dragon Ball? Is despite how the events don't make any sense, they get the character dynamics right. They get the characters. They get like who they're writing. This doesn't even do that. Like, which is impressive because most of their characters are essentially OCs. You know, like Oob is an extrapolation, Pan and Bra are extrapolations. But like, Jesus Christ, the characters are just painful to watch because they don't fucking act that way. You know, that's not how these characters act. That's not how these characters think about these things.
Yeah, it's kind of the one that really stuck out to me. We'll get to, because I feel like this is, whenever we talk about a Dragon Ball fan-made thing that includes Han and Bra, is always like your shit. So we'll get to that, because there's a fucking, oh boy, there's a moment. Mm-hmm. But the one that like that just in talking about just how the characters are written, the first thing is Razzle seems like it could be a Toriyama character. The voice is a choice and needs to be edited a little bit more just to make it more legible. But like the kooky kind of goofy little third person kind of Gollum-esque, yeah, it works. That's fine. It's good minion trope. The guy who was working for Babidi and has the merge, I think, recognize Oob. Kind of plain voice, but you know, straight man works. And then the cyborg guy is just the generic like Sal personality that every Dragon Ball fan villain does as their big boss. Like, it's fine, whatever. But when you get to the Saiyans, like, every single one of them is apparently a lieutenant. And all of them have like the exact same personality with just like how they talk, and they're gruff warriors who have pride and don't take kindly to fools, and they all talk like that, and they all have the same fucking eyebrowless expression, and they all, so that all muddles together. So the OC is not good. But when you get to characters like Gotenks or Goten and Trunks, individually, there's attempts at humor, but it's really awkward. And you can, like, the vibe it gives off to me is they know that Dragon Ball is meant to be a comedy, but they really don't want it to be. So it's like, all right, fine, here's a fart joke, moving on. Like, and and it really hurts it. Like, at that point, just don't. If you can't write comedy, don't use Gotenks. Like, you don't have to include Goten. Super doesn't. Fuck it. Like, you know, like you don't have to include every single character just because they're on Earth. Like, it's fine. The Broly movie didn't include the rest of the cast because it had its focus. Like, if you want to keep a smaller thing, fine. Gohan is a non-character who then has a baffling episode like that, just a baffling decision. Trunks, everyone else, is just an exposition machine. Like, there's no personality to these characters. The closest we get is Goku, Piccolo, and Vegeta. And even then, it's... Vegeta is, like, the most stereotypical... It's not GT Vegeta. It's not consistent with where his character was at the end of GT, that he would leave Earth and just go fucking slaughtering random thing. Like, he was like, I'm gonna defend Earth now, Kakarot. Like, why'd you leave, bro? Like, that's the glaring thing to me, is just like, why did Vegeta just fucking bounce? Like, he made a vow, and in GT it's meant to show that he's the most domesticated he's ever been, to the point where he says to Omega Shenron, I am an Earthling who keeps his Saiyan pride. Like, that's such a big... That's why people love GT Vegeta. He's the most human Vegeta we'll ever see. Because I don't think Super will ever go that far. Maybe they shouldn't, but, like, it is what people stand out about. So the fact that we have this Vegeta who doesn't really have any inkling of that, with a Goku who is Goku, sure, but there's nothing here for him, and we don't get much explanation of what he's doing, where he's been, why he wants to come back to Earth when, like, he specifically said he doesn't want to anymore. Like, it runs into that trap that a lot of things do, where they say they want to focus on the next generation, but they really don't. And also, and also, it's the thing where the character writing for those two is easier than the others because they are more archetypal with Goku and Vegeta, so that they are passable. They're not good, but, like, the main characters, the one we spend the most time with, are just really, really kind of lifeless, and that's such a shame, because the Dragon Ball is such a series full of life, where people will watch, people petition to just have the episodes where they're fucking playing baseball and just chilling out. Like, no plot whatsoever. Just because these characters are so endearing and so well realized and just happy to hang around. And it's a shame to say they're just not here. And then we get to fucking Han.
Okay. Before we talk about the elephant in the room, how fucking stupid is it that Pan and Bra can't go Super Saiyan without fusing?
You know what fucks me up about that?
What?
Is then they introduce, oh, but Gohan's son can.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
okay, you know, here's the thing. There's an argument to be made for Bra. Because what we see of Bra in GT, she's clearly not interested in fighting, she's a girly girl, she shops, yeah, whatever. There's an argument to be made that Bra would never go Super Saiyan. For what it's worth, a really good characterization of Bra is from, oh god, I don't remember the Carrari, did the really good Bra and Pan dynamic that I really liked, where Bra can just go Super Saiyan and she's completely busted, and Pan's really frustrated by it because she can't. That was a really solid dynamic. I don't like going Super Saiyan, it fritzes my hair. Beautiful. Anyway, so the idea that Bra wouldn't ever be able to go Super Saiyan isn't a fighter. Fine. You could make that work. I could buy that one. It doesn't make sense within the context of this, because the whole point is the next generation is training to be the protectors of Earth. So, and she's there training with them, so if she knows fusion, why wouldn't she be working on Super Saiyan? She's half Saiyan just like Trunks. There's absolutely no reason that she shouldn't be able to do it. Pan is only a quarter Saiyan, so maybe there's just not enough there for her to do it, if you really, really wanted to try to, like, force an argument. But at the same time, Pan, like what we see in GT, she was constantly training and working and trying to do stuff. Like, she was constantly there. Why wouldn't she be able to go Super Saiyan? they have the ability between them to do it while fused that clearly Pan should be able to because she's the one working for it. Like, it's so fucking
again,
dumb.
The one that really makes it worse, that, like, if it was just, alright, Pan, because, like you said, she's too human, kind of thing. And so we've given her ultimate instead. Alright, whatever. That makes sense. That's a fine choice. It's the fact that they introduce a second child that Gohan has who can go Super Saiyan, no problem, no sweat, and is training with Krillin, and it's just like, it reeks of, it's just because she doesn't have a dick. That's the, it's entirely what it, and it, especially with how they're drawn, you know, like it's not a, it's
man,
not
those
fun.
shirts sure are tight. Wow.
I mean, and again, it's not even like Toriyama can draw fucking sexualized characters. Like, most of Dragon Ball's original plot is about fucking Bulma fucking showing her tits off. But like, there's a difference between how Toriyama did it in his art style. That when you draw, like, even like someone like Android 21, who is like the most like waifu bait Dragon Ball character you could possibly get, it's still done in the Dragon Ball art style, and it's not exploitative because there's not fucking highlights on the tits, I'll tell you that. Like, it's one of those things where, like, it really feels like you're breaking style only for this part of the person's body makes it stick out more to me. You know, like, you're changing literally how the art style of the character is drawn because you want these more sexualized tits. Like, and again, if you want to sexualize your characters, go for it. But if you're breaking the rest of your series' art style for it, I better see Gohan's glistening chesticles as well. You know, like, why is it just this fucking? Yeah, and I don't. The thing about that is what gets me, is what makes it stand out, is you can justify it. But the fact that you go out of your way to introduce another child who is the exact same of Gohan's ilk, who can go Super Saiyan, no trouble, no problem, never brought up that it's an issue, never brought up that Pan is like, I'm annoyed by that or whatever, it's never addressed. Everyone else in this fucking series can go Super Saiyan except the girls, and it stands out like a fucking sore thumb.
That one just hurt. Not as much as the next part.
Oh, yeah.
So, I don't know. I guess it would be less of a problem if it were the only time it happened. But the fact that it happens and then it happens again like an episode or two later is kind of much. So they want to take the Saiyans, the half-breeds, which... Alright, pause.
Okay.
Let's go down the Absalonian Saiyan battle plan.
Okay.
We're gonna devote time from our top military brass, apparently, since we don't get much implication that there are many stronger Saiyans than these guys, to go to a planet to beat the shit out of half-breed Saiyans and bring them back so we can put them on the front line of a war to die so that the stronger Saiyans can win. That is the most stupid fucking military strategy I've ever heard of in my entire life. Like, just the amount of resources you waste to get these fucking cannon fodder characters. What's the point? That one just baffles the shit out of me. So anyway, that's what General I Talk Like This wants to do, and take Pan's beautiful baby children with Oob, because I remember that romantic setup. And he wants to take them, and Pan she can't let that happen. so she's gonna murder her children instead.
What was your reaction when that happened?
Dude, I was so fucking far gone by that point. I was just like, on some level, that's like a good... There's something like true drama and intensity to that. Like, that's that, like, Chaozu, you know, blowing himself up to try to kill Nappa and save Tien kind of thing, you know? Like, that's the intention of the scene. And there's, like... There is some, like, legitimate heart to it and like, the sense of, like, the scale of it. But it doesn't earn that kind of, like, gravitas. So it's just... It just reeks of, like, fan edginess, you know? It just reeks of, like... the like, I need to motivate my characters, so I'm gonna just do something terrible. I'm gonna do the most over-the-top, ridiculously terrible thing ever to their loved one in order to create that motivation. You know? Like, that's just what it reeks of. It just feels like inexperienced fan edginess.
Yeah, it's... And the thing as well is, first of all, for me, is I don't think a storyline of that has any place being in Dragon. Just tonally, I don't think that fits the franchise. But even outside of that, because that's a more subjective, like, a thing and stuff, but, like, it just, to me, that just seems to just, like, it's like fucking doing, like, oh, where was Goku during the Holocaust? It's just like, you know. Like, just come on. Don't fucking do this shit. But, like, we getting past that, getting into just like, all right, so the moment, like, what the inkling of the idea is it's purely edginess just for edgy's sake, because it doesn't go anywhere. Like, it just happens, and then it doesn't, then she gets stopped, and then we move on, and they don't even get taken anyway. Like, there's no purpose to it whatsoever, as you could cut it and it doesn't do anything. So the only reason it is there is to be edgy. Like, it is purely to be edgy, and I find it quite insulting, because Pan as a character, the only moment she gets in this series, compared to, like, say, her dad, or her husband, or whatever, is, alright, so Gohan also watches his child get fucking murdered in front of him. Not Pan, his super special OC baby. It does nothing, just stares at it the entire time. Which is later revealed he can also go Super Saiyan 4, which he doesn't try before his son dies. Like, he just watches that shit happen.
Well, he's just on the ground and he's so beat up, and then he uses too much power because he was still trying to hold something back, even though it was unlocked by absolute rage that he's keeping out. What?
Yeah, so he gets into a new form because he gets the rage, and he gets the classic Gohan rage power-up moment, whatever. Oob, pushed on the back foot, unlocks more of his margin power, and gets to win the fight and do all these things. What does Pan do when she's pushed on the back foot? Threaten to kill children, and that's it. And then she gets knocked out like it's their problem. Like, again, I hate calling back to this card, but it's so fucking blatant. Like, it's like, if that was Gohan in that situation, he would have got angry and gotten a new form. Like, that's what would have happened, because that is what happened. Like, there's no reason why that story doesn't happen there for that character you put in that situation, because then you could at least make it a point for character development. It's like, oh, now Pan's a mother, and so she gets that kind of... You can go into, like, just like the phenomenon of, like, when a mother's child is in danger and unlocks, like, a strength inside them never known. Yeah, that fits perfectly for a Saiyan. I can buy that. Like, why not? Like, you can do a fucking moment, like, and then Pan can help out more in the fight or whatever. Or she gets beaten, but she lets him get away, or something that happens that's a change. Like that.
That would be a pretty good first Super Saiyan transformation for Pan. No joke. Yeah. That'd be pretty strong.
There you go. But, like, anything that leads a change, and then you can justify that moment. because then that is darkness that is used for a purpose. That is used to further the characters. None of that happens. She just gets knocked out, and then no one gets kidnapped anyway because they move on. Like, it's because fucking future Trunks turns up and starts talking about the parliaments and the trees. So like it's redundant, and it's pure edginess for the sake of edginess. Especially in animation like this where you have limited time. I feel like doing things like that is such a mismanagement of resources that I have to really harp on it, because I would like to anyone listening to this or whoever, I want to really emphasize that you have a limited time and you put so much hard work into this thing. You're letting yourself down by kind of going into these kind of lazy impulses, like just shock value for shock value's sake, that has no purpose to what you're trying to tell here. It does nothing for these characters.
But it lets you draw just someone staring at a hand for like a really long time.
Yeah, I get that, but you could do that in a transformation sequence as well or whatever, and you don't have to have child murder in your fucking Toriyama. And again, that's not saying Toriyama killed kids as well. Fucking Dende's siblings got fucking eviscerated. But you know why they did that? It's because it's for Dende's character, and to put him on this path of becoming the person who'll become God of Earth. Like, Dende's little arc in Namek is kind of underrated, but he does go on one. Like, it's in the background, it's understated. It's not for the sake of... And it's to show how much of fucking the monster Frieza is. This shows how much of a fucking monster Pan was. The dude wasn't gonna kill him. Like, we've seen Saiyan life. It's pretty cushy. Like, it's fine. Even if they get taken, like, they're gonna get fucking power-ups and shit. Like, it's not the end of the world. Like, fucking...
I don't know about that. Like, it seems like... It's that I'd rather my kids die free than live as slaves. And I'm like, yeah, I guess. Like, it's not the worst motivation ever. And, like, that... This is the difference between you and I. We were talking about this earlier. Like, I can see the intention here. I definitely think I agree with you. This scene just should not have been in here at all. But, like, I see the intention. I see what they were going for. But just the way they get there is just so painful. And not in a good way. Like, painful to sit through because of how, like literally cringe. Like, I literally cringed watching that scene. Because I know someone inevitably will, like, rise to defend it. It's like, it was supposed to be hard to watch. It was supposed to be uncomfortable. I'm like, yeah, no, it's hard to watch. It's uncomfortable. Not for the reasons they want it to be. I'm not sitting here going, oh, man, I hope she doesn't have to do this, but, like, I don't want her kids to be slaves either. This is such a hard choice for Pan. I'm sitting here going... Oh, man, this person that wrote this scene really wasn't competent in what they were doing. They really don't comprehend the scale of what they're doing. They're putting something on screen because they know it's edgy without really thinking about the implications of it. And it makes it really, really rough. Really, really rough.
It really is. Yeah, there's a lot of things here in terms of just characters being introduced and forms introduced, and I think what really hurts the monotony of it all is the fact that there are so many fights that are basically the same things. Gotenks and the Great Ape. Okay, cool idea. It's cool to see a Golden Uzara actually in a fight for a longer period, but the Goku versus Baby wasn't that long, and Baby was talking during it. You don't get to see just the fucking monster kind of going out. Like, GT Goku does it for like an episode. So it's not a bad idea to see a few adult Gotenks fight that kind of thing. But then it quickly goes into character with Super Saiyan against another character with Super Saiyan. And then we see Gohan. Well, there's that. It's character with a Saiyan versus another Saiyan with Super Saiyan. And then we see Oob. And then that one's the most different, which I think really helps her. But then we get future Gohan. And then we get another Trunks. And it's just like, and then we get Zycor and Vegeta. It's just like, look, I know you like the Saiyans, but like, there's a reason why this all blends together. Is because not only are you repeating some of the same moves, is these characters, when you break them down, they are basically the same personality types. Is you have rough, kind of reluctant hero, and then cocky, but I kind of respect you, bad guy, and like, it's just, you can just cut it down to one of these things and get the best elements from one of them, and you'd have a much better thing, or two if you really want to. But like, why is Future Gohan here? Why is Future Trunks here? Why isn't that moment just for Gohan? Why isn't that moment just for the regular Trunks we have here?
Because Pan can't save herself. She was going to murder kids.
Why is Pan and Buller and those random kids here either? Like, cut those out as well. Why has Gohan got another child who exists only to die for him to get a rage power? That's the only reason that character exists, is so he can be killed off, so Gohan can get mad about it. Like, it's just such a, we did it because it's cool. And you know what? That's fine. That really is like a cool thing to do it. But you're not doing it even in the kind of, I'm gonna say it, the fucking Dragon Ball heroes.
Mm-hmm.
At least isn't so fucking pretentious about it.
Ouch.
Yeah, that's my thing. Like, okay, you're just having these random characters throw out for no random reason and having them fight. Alright, just say that's what you're doing. Like...
Man,
yeah.
do you think Fu's gonna show up in this? Since they've just put, like, concepts from Super in anyway, even though it doesn't fit with the fucking concept they're doing, do you think they'll put Fu in?
No, because he's too quirky. He's not edgy enough. They'll put Hearts in, the edgy guy.
Oh my god, Hearts. Hearts.
Yeah,
Hearts does feel like an Absalon character.
Yeah, he looks like one. What, do you want to get into that? What do you think of the designs here?
They are just, like, it's funny because you and I are often so opposed to designs. You like just the most simple, basic things ever, and there is a strength to that minimalism, and it definitely reflects in Toriyama's style. But I do like flashy, overly detailed stuff. So actually, I do like some of the ideas here. Like, I like Oob's little, like, fucking ball and chain belt thing. I think that was kind of a cool little flourish. I like Razzle's look. Cyborg guy is a little eh. I like Pan's look overall, honestly, particularly when she like cracks into the ultimate form. I thought that was a cool thing. Like there's some clunkiness to some of these. I think they are probably like leaning on over designed, especially for what this is as a fan animation. It would make more sense to go with more minimalist features, but it's whatever. I do like most of the design work outside of the female characters just being big ol' honka bonkas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's...
Which, to be fair, it doesn't do it as bad as Deliverance does it, so there's something there.
There is that. There's a lot of similarities between these two projects, which is quite funny. It seems like bringing Broly back and genetic engineering and controlling Saiyans and this kind of thing. Pan and Bull. There's a lot of crossover. But the thing with the designs here for me is this is basically everything I see on like Dragon Ball DeviantArt, like embodied. Like there are cool costumes here for like. And it was funny because it got pointed out in the Discord server. A Street Fighter character? Like, that's what these guys look like. They look like the Street Fighter characters. And the reason why Street Fighter characters get more detailed is because they're going to be in a video game and it's 3D modeled, or sprites. So the sprites were less detailed, but once we got to 3D models, we could do more details because you don't have to draw it. You just paint the model and there it is in every shot. With Dragon Ball, and how it works and the speed of the things and the dynamism of the characters and the world you're doing with, it is a very cartoon inspired world. It is very poppy, and even outside of the designs, I think the thing that hurts it the most is this is so dark. And I don't just mean content-wise. I mean, like, the color palette here is the most un-Dragon Ball thing I've ever seen in my life. Everything is got like a grey, blue, hazy filter over it. No daytime, and when it is, it's like kind of late. Like there's no sun shining bright colors. There's no, everything's muted, everything's graying and stuff. I'm like, GT kinda was a little bit more muted than Z and Bull were. But even then, Goku's in bright yellow pants. Like there's still that like splash of color, which is important because when characters are moving so fast and just becoming blurs, it lets you keep track of where their body parts are. Because if Goku's got blue wristbands, when he throws a punch and you see a smear of blue, you know where Goku's hand is. You know where his boots are. When Frieza is just a ball of white, he's got his head and he's got his shoulders, you know where he is, and his armrests and stuff like that. Like there's the character designs from Yamada are very simple, but they're purposeful. They're all designed to be able to work in motion and to be able to be visually entertaining for young children and adults alike. And nothing in here, to me, is like visually entertaining, because even the designs that could be salvaged get ruined by how dark everything is. Like Panda's design, if you put that in like a bright spot of color, like something like Shintani, you know, like just bright tones with the orange and stuff, gorgeous, it would work. Even the Gohan design is straight from the Buu saga, but everything's just so dark. At this point, why are you doing Dragon Ball? Because you're trying to take every element of Dragon Ball and turn it into something that it's not. At this point, just do like a DC thing, or just do Naruto or Bleach. The Bleach especially, I think, is the one that this is really growing on. And it's just like, those are fine to do, but like, if you're trying to just do a straight up sequel to Dragon Ball set after GT, I do think you kind of have to respect the visual language of the series.
Mm-hmm. It's rough. There's decisions made, certainly, right? Like that's just all it comes down to. There's just very particular decisions made, and it's like there's obviously an appetite for it, right? Since as you pointed out,
millions of views.
Well, not just that, but like just the art style, like that overly complex like look. And I guess the thing that I keep coming back to is just that's basically the look of like, you know, like Dragon Ball fan art and stuff. Like you said, it just looks like a lot of DeviantArt stuff. There's obviously a desire for that like super heavily detailed, you know, fucking super heavily detailed Dragon Ball art that's kind of fugly. I don't know why, when the series does lean so heavily to simplicity. Is it because the movies? Like, you mentioned the darkness of the palette. The movies tend to go with the darker palette and have some more complex stuff.
Yeah, even if you look at, like, Broly, though, right, which is the darkest of movies, because that movie is entirely set at night. Like, the city in that is kind of beautiful, like the painted background. Obviously, I'm not looking at anything, but, like, those colors are still that very saturated green. Broly is covering everything in green, and his aura is expanding, and then we end in a fucking comet. I don't think it's necessarily the movies on their own. I think someone on Discord Warp pointed this out. It's not just the movies; it's the dub score movies. It's very much the playing Pantara when Broly, the metal music dub movies. It's the I can't let you hurt any innocence anymore, like dub Goku movies. It's that, I think, is what the clear inspiration for the tone is for a lot of people who want that, is when they wrote Dragon Ball, like edgy Superman, effectively, is what the OG Vegeta was. And for a lot of people, there's a lot of attachment to that, and it's a lot of people who grew up to it. And while I've got my issues with it, I won't pretend that it wasn't meaningful for a lot of people, and it created that appetite. Even then, like, that dub was kind of infamously cheesy. There's nothing cheese here.
And there's just, again, there's so little humor that it's just, it feels like, no. It's just, it's rough, man. It's just really rough to watch.
The thing that really informs me, and I guess like I know there's a good ending note on that, is kind of implying, is writing a series where the main antagonists, the most primary things are the Saiyans. Okay. And you're doing all these things with the Saiyan forms. Okay. And none of these OC Saiyans are named after vegetables. Tells me everything about the series. When the literal name of the Saiyans is vegetable people. That's what Saiyajin means. You have to remember that. Otherwise you get this, where people forget that they're talking about a series with characters that are meant to be, like, it's a pun, guys. Like, it's there's an inherent level of silliness to this that if you don't acknowledge, it just kind of feels like you're the only one. It's that feeling when someone doesn't get the joke, and that's awkward.
I think you're definitely right. It's and to be fair, the joke is, like, I think legitimately lost on a lot of people.
Yeah, I understand it as well, but like saying Planet Vegeta, you know, like, come on, man. I love how the tone just changed so much from where we started, but we did give a warning, so if you're in this...
I mean, like, again, it's I don't take... like, yeah, we've laughed about it, and we've made some jokes, certainly at its expense, and I don't... like, if I were the person that made this, I think I would be having a hard time sitting through this review. I would have... I will not be surprised if we get a message on this, like, yeah, you guys just are being really harsh, or this is just ridiculous. You know, you clearly aren't talking about all the great things that's done in this film. And I'm like, I'd like to more. I really would. But, like, if I talk about the animation for too long, I'm going to have to start talking about the negatives of the animation. And that's the thing that's doing the best. Like, but even then, it's got its rough patches. And that's fine, because it's a fan-animated thing, and fan animation is probably the hardest thing. Because, like, when we talk about levels of a fan work compared to a professional work, there's certain distances you get removed from a thing, and as you get further away from the professional capability, the more leeway I give you. So oddly enough, the thing I am probably the most harsh on in doing a review would be a fan fiction where it's just text, because you know what, you have everything that the professional has. And the further away you get from that, the further away your means get from the professional means, the easier I'll go on a thing. And so I'm not going to sit here and talk about the flaws in the animation, because they are minimal. And but unfortunately, the best thing I can say about the animation has already been said. There's not much else to talk about. It is a competently animated piece. And if it's just trying to be that, it certainly succeeds. I see that he has other videos on his channel that are like just Jiren versus like Super Saiyan 4 Goku or whatever. Please, for the love of God, I think he should just be doing those. He should just be doing versus matches or something, because that would do a much better job of highlighting his talents instead of trying to weave a narrative that is just nonsensical. It is a really, really rough watch because of that.
Yeah, it's, again, we've mentioned this a lot, but, like, sometimes, like, it helps as an artist, if your primary talent is artist, to bring on a writer. Like, I can't stress it enough how much these Dragon Ball fan projects, gorgeous art, would just be infinite benefit. Like, literally. People, it's not, you don't have to pay them at all. They'd be begging. If you went up, I guarantee you right now, if you went up to fucking Masako in his DMs and like, hey, I'm a fan animator and I really respect your writing and what you do. Would you write, this is the pitch I want to do, and I do something like, but you would work with me, right? And I'll fan animate all of it, and you don't have to pay me $1 because I'm doing this all out of my own heart. You kidding? Like, the gift that would be, like that is every writer's fucking dream. They would beg you for that. Kaiser Neko, and these great Dragon Ball writers who understand these fucking things. Smug Sticks, whatever, like, fucking, you can do this, and these people will help, because their talent is the writing, and the art, in the same way that when they draw something, it would look like a scribble or something. Oh, that's not for everyone, because I know Kaiser's a little bit of an artist, but like the example, right? It kind of feels to me the same way when an artist who hasn't had the experience of writing tries their hand with like a script. That script to me looks like a stick figure compared to what a writer would actually do, you know? And I feel like that's a very common mistake. I feel like it makes us lose out on a lot of like work which we say, oh well, the animation was good, and I can kind of turn my brain off and watch. I'm like, you shouldn't have to. Imagine how much better it could be if you didn't have to do, if you could enjoy it fully, you know? And that's my biggest thing with a lot of Dragon Ball fan projects, is it really hurts to see so much hard work be put into it and not always being able to live up to the production values of everything around it.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's crazy. Again, this has been going on 10 years, that there's, like, 2-year gaps between some of the episodes, and he's still working on it and doing stuff, and, like, I absolutely respect what he's doing, and, you know, it's kind of funny is, like, the What If guys, where all we have is story, right? Like, we have story and fucking Dragon Ball video game renders half the time, right? And Alfie's working on his art skill. So, like, we're sitting here on the other side, like, no, we've got the story, just, you know, unfortunately we can't animate it. And so that's probably the best thing to throw at us. It's like, you guys are just jealous that you can't animate your thing. And in a sense, yeah, but at the same time, it's disappointing to see so much talent being misused for a story that just does not justify the level of time you're putting into it. It really, really is disappointing. It's like when your favorite actor's in a bad movie or something, you know? Where it's like, oh no, why'd you waste your time doing that? It's like when your favorite actor is in a bad movie and then you found out that they turned down a really good movie to be in this one instead. It's like Christopher Eccleston fans.
Exactly. This is the full the dark world of Christopher Eccleston's career to a T.
Yeah. Don't forget G.I. Joe as well.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so that's the feel I get from this. Alright. Let's go ahead and go on to ratings. I'll go first. This is going to sound crazy, but just for the amount of dedication, the amount of time, like, you know, if they're listening to this and they decide, you know, fuck you, I like my story, I'm proud of it, I don't give a shit if you don't think it makes any sense, I'm proud of it and I'm happy to be animating it, then fair enough. I do have to just, because it's animation and I understand how far away that puts you from the studio model, I have to give it a lot just for that alone, but that's really all I can give it. So just for the dedication and for the quality of the animation, I'm giving this 2 out of 5 Super Saiyan super special new forms unlocked on Absalon through genetic Super Saiyaning.
Yeah. Again, just to go back to the main point is the absolute skill on display with the art and so much time, such a commitment to keep it going. You know, after all this time, to still be committed to. A lot of fan projects don't get finished. I'm gonna give it to Malavelli. I fully think he will eventually finish Absalon. I think he's so deep into it now, and I don't think it will make any sense. But by God, I can't say he doesn't care. I can't say he's not phoning it in, and I think he's done. You've passed 10 episodes, you know, and like an episode a year is how that works out roughly, because it's been going on almost 10 years. But that's also including like the specials and stuff, and the Patreon now I think is helping him get more productions and things. But yeah, it's one of those things where I think his dedication will let this come to pass. Will let this pass off. But it's just one of those things where I can't, in good faith, recommend it. I can't. It's such an example of everything I disagree with, like on a primal level. It's like purposely designed to piss me specifically off on nearly every front. So I can't, as much of respect I have for the talented artists behind it, I can't avoid that. So for me, I'm gonna give it 2 Zycors out of 5, and those twos would be a 5 because of the animation, but every single fucking other decision is really knocking those down. I hate to say, but yeah, because of the animation, it's not a 0, because really, well, props for that, and props for sticking with it, and props for continuing to keep going. I hope you keep doing. I hope you do bigger and better things, and I'm rooting for you. But just, Jesus, man, come on, let's chill out a bit, you know.
Please don't murder any more children. Thank you.
Read the damn manga. Like, just see what Toriyama does. You just something lighter, you know, like or even then, just do like Super Saiyan 4 Goku versus Jiren looks fun, like stuff like that. I think is up your alley.
Yeah. All right. Next week on Geeky Gentlemen Fan Film Reviews, we'll be reviewing Zatanna, a fan film by 15 studios. Not 15 separate studios. The name of the studio is 15 studios. Yeah. All right. So everyone, hope you tune in for that. And until the next time, I'm the Philosopher.
I, the Saiyan survivor for fun.
And we are your Geeky Gentlemen, and we will be discussing things.